What is up, everybody? My name is David. This is Daniel, my younger brother, and we are the owners of Iron Apparel. Iron Apparel is a clothing brand, a lifestyle brand that is built on Proverbs 27:17, just as iron sharpens iron, so one person does to another. And that's the foundation of everything that we do as a brand, as a company. That is our mission. That is, the foundation of everything that we do. And that's kind of the mission behind our company. Yeah. We basically, a quick rundown, we started this clothing line back probably about 4 years ago now when I was in college. Daniel was in high school. We've got two other brothers that are older than us. Daniel and I are kind of the ones that came up with the idea for, hey, we want to, basically start printing cool, motivational, inspirational messages on t-shirts. I mean, that's what it started as. And we both wrestled throughout high school, junior high, played football, and then three of us, four brothers, joined the military. And the phrase iron sharpens iron is really common in all of those kind of arenas or all of those areas. Weightlifting, sports, military culture, all those types of things.
Posted on our wall in the wrestling room. And I think it's, traveled across most sports.
Yeah, I hear it all the time, just kind of
in the gym and sports, everyone.
Yeah, you see it all over the place. So it's a super cool idea. It's obviously really relevant, and it really captured everything that we're trying to do as a brand. So that's really where it all started. And then we all went on active duty right after we kind of got the t-shirt brand started. And for those of you guys, I know a lot of our audience is probably people who are in the military or veterans. And if not, many of you probably know people in the military or whatever, but active duty is pretty crazy. It's fast and furious. You move all over the place. Yeah. They definitely, Uncle Sam squeezes the money that, the work out of you for what you're paid for. So it was a very busy period. We tried to keep it running throughout the 4 years. I spent a lot of time and effort trying to, keep it going and build things out as best as we could. So we did the best we could. And that basically brings us to now. I just got out of the active duty Army a couple of months ago now, and Daniel just got out of the active duty Air Force. I am getting ready to start a new job in the Air Force that I'm pretty excited about, but I've got the downtime now to be able to kind of go all in on Iron Apparel. And Daniel moved down here to Colorado Springs, and his plan for right now is to go all in on Iron Apparel as well. So we're kind of reigniting, rekindling the flame, getting things back up off the ground.
Yeah. And obviously we'll have a full podcast on this one day. We'll go back into all the nitty-gritty details of the whole, because there's a lot, man. There's a lot to talk about. But
and the story there, basically, I mean, the moral of the story is, for us, our journey has not been one of these. And the fact of the matter is, I think no successful company that you see today is an overnight success. There are companies that you see that people start, especially nowadays, where there will be quote unquote influencer or whatever, who is able to start a brand and make it pretty successful very quickly. But you have to account all the time that they spent building their following as because that was the first step. If they hadn't done that, I mean, they wouldn't be able to just launch this super successful business. So I guess the message there would be our journey, we're in the middle of it right now. We really feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, it feels like it's just, it's been up and going for 4 years now, but right now it finally feels real, at least to me. I know you've been in it, but to me, it finally feels like it's real, and I'm fully committed to actually making this dream happen now.
Right.
And that's
Whereas
4 years
in the past, it was just kind of hey, on the back burner, let's do what we can. We know we eventually want to try to, give it a go, but we just, it was always a second priority to all of us. So, yeah. But basically, I mean, it's a story of a lot of failure, a lot of trials and tribulations, overcoming challenge after challenge after challenge. And that, I think, the message will resonate with a lot of you guys, because with any brand or any company or any personal accomplishment that you are seeking to, achieve in your life, I mean, it is going to be riddled with failure after failure after failure. And as long as every time you fail, you're failing bigger and you're failing better, and it's almost like you're like falling up the stairs, if that makes sense, then you're on the right path. And basically, as long as you don't quit, you never lose. I mean, you only fail when you quit. So like, if we were to cash in now and call it a day and throw in the towel, then we failed. But as long as you're
getting back up,
resilient and willing to keep on getting back up and keep trying at it, then eventually whatever you do, whether it's trying to build a company like us, or it's your physical fitness, or it's your, you've got a dream of becoming a Olympian or a athlete or an influencer or successful in your career, as long as you don't give up and you just keep pressing, eventually that success is going to be there.
Yeah, and
to some degree.
That's kind of what we're trying to drive home today, right? Like we're trying to get to the point. We'll get into the economy of iron and all the stuff that actually makes up what this brand is. But what we're really trying to drive home today is that this doesn't just apply to our business. This applies to everyone. This is something we're trying to be in our lives. And we want everyone else to try to get into it a little bit if they can, right?
Yeah, basically, I mean, energy. Yeah. So what we're talking about today, Daniel's already pulling us on track. I am a super distracted speaker, so I love to ramble, but Daniel's going to do a good job of keeping us on track. Basically, what we thought about, we're like, hey, let's put together a podcast. What are we going to talk about on episode 1? And I cannot think of anything that's more important to talk about for you guys as the audience to hear from us than everybody always wants to know the answer to the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why do you do what you do? What's your purpose? What's the meaning behind all this? In your job in the Air Force and my job in the Army, that is the question behind every single task, is what's the purpose of this? What is the reason that we're doing this? And so we figured we would start there, because really... Yeah,
we haven't shared that at all. We've
like... I mean, I don't know that the message has been just like thoroughly communicated from start to finish, and it's such an important message to me. It really like embodies what I want my life to be about, like what I challenge myself to kind of try to be about. So it's super important to me to kind of put things into perspective. I am a person of faith, and I take that, pretty seriously. And I recently went out probably about 6 months ago and bought a Bible. I was like, you know what? I've been using this this Bible that I picked up from the Naval Academy Chapel. Our older brother went to the Naval Academy, and it wasn't something that was very personal to me. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to start going to church regularly and start taking my faith a little bit more seriously, let me go ahead and grab a legit Bible that I can bring with me to church, take notes in, and kind of make my own. So I went out and bought this really cool Bible, and, all I can ever think about is Iron Apparel. So of course I got this really cool, black leather Bible that looks awesome. The side of the pages are metallic silver, so it just looks very much like if Iron Apparel like designed a Bible, I feel like that's kind of what it would look like. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, that's the one. And I put an Iron Apparel decal on the front of my Bible that, if you guys are watching on YouTube, it looks like this. It's on the front of my Bible. And some of you guys would say, man, that is like sacrilegious. As soon as you step into church with that thing, you are going to spontaneously combust. Yeah, but that just kind of shows you how near and dear it is to my heart, how seriously I take what this logo means, that I feel comfortable putting that on the front of my Bible, because I really feel like it's in line with, living a certain way. I mean, it is striving to be the best version of you, striving to be the way that I would put it, who God made me to be, who I was designed to be. If you're not, yes, Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron, that is a Bible verse. No, we are not here to beat the Bible over your head.
Right.
And I will, not be doing that regularly or whatever. So if you are not a person of faith, who you were born to be, who you were destined to be.
We're just acknowledging that that's a thing, right? We're just acknowledging that you have your Christian ideologies.
That's like how I feel, yeah.
Dude, like, we don't care. We don't care what you are, how you view all of the religious aspects of the world. Like, it doesn't matter to us. We're here to try to spread positivity. That doesn't matter. So we're not going to be beating that over your head. We're not going to be driving that home. Don't matter.
Right. So with that being said, yeah, the whole idea basically behind the logo is it is the letter I. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see this. If you're just listening to the podcast, I will try to describe it to you, but basically it's the letter I. It's two pieces of iron sharpening each other. So there's two halves of it. The way that I view it is there's growth and there's contribution. I've been listening to a lot of, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, these type of people lately. And one thing that I heard on, I don't know if I read it in a book or heard it on his podcast or whatever, or one of his speaking events, but Tony Robbins said, and this really stuck with me, basically the recipe or the equation for happiness in your life is growth plus contribution equals happiness. And as soon as I heard that, it was just very profound to me, and it basically clicked. It was like, wow, that totally is like the two sides of the coin of Iron Apparel, Iron Sharpening Iron. So we're going to kind of delve into that right now, and so we'll just get right into it. The first half of the logo, basically the top half, is growth. Okay, so that's you sharpening yourself. That's you becoming the sharpest version of yourself. That is probably the most familiar topic to most of you guys, because that's like a really popular idea right now, is personal development. Most podcasts that you listen to, most books that you read, most things that you do nowadays are all geared. I mean, if you think about going to school, going to work to make money, going to the gym.
It's either physical, mental, or spiritual, but it's all just
self-development. You developing yourself and trying to become the sharpest version of yourself. And I'm here for that. I mean, that's a great, that's half of the equation.
We're not playing down that at all. That's good shit.
That's half of what Iron Sharpening Iron is about, is you becoming the sharpest version of you. In my mind, there's basically two parts to that, and I know it can get a little bit confusing or whatever, but basically it's you sharpening yourself and then you allowing other people to sharpen you, and that all contributes to you becoming the sharpest version of yourself. So on the one hand, you have to be the one that puts in the work. You have to show up to the gym. You have to take your nutrition seriously. You've got to be the one that gets motivated to go to school, whatever it may be. That's you working on you to become the sharpest spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, in your relationships that you can possibly be. The second part to that equation is, I shouldn't say it like that because that's going to get really confusing. But basically, in becoming the sharpest version of yourself, having an open mind, being, humble, practicing humility. These are like words that these people, you hear very frequently. Humility, self-awareness, being introspective, realizing and admitting, I don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. I can't do this all on my own. There are people who are strong where I am weak, and there are people who are weak where I am strong. And so realizing in my own life, it's physical fitness and nutrition. I came to realize recently that I did not fully understand nutrition as well as I thought I did. Yeah. And I would frequently tell people like, oh yeah, I eat pretty healthy. And until I started really looking into it and getting the help from a person who's actually like a dietitian that actually kind of studied and understood. And this stuff
not eating that healthy.
All over the internet. And it's like nothing that I couldn't go find on my own. But there are things in your life where Rick Warren, the author of The Purpose-Driven Life, one of the things that he said recently that really stuck with me was basically if there are areas in your life where you have tried more than once to fix something, to correct something, if you're the type of person that always says, oh, I'm going to get in shape right after Christmas. This is the time. This is the time I'm going to lose the weight. This is the time I'm going to kick this habit. This is the time I'm finally going to beat this. I'm finally going to work toward paying off my credit card debt, blah, blah, blah. But you've failed at it multiple times, and you've, given it multiple attempts, and you've failed on your own. He says basically after you've failed it once or twice, I think he says once, I would maybe give it 2 shots or whatever, but he says after you failed it one time on your own, you need to seek outside help. You need to go see a marriage counselor if your marriage is falling apart, if your relationship, if your fiance and you are struggling and you just can't figure it out on your own, go get some premarital counseling. Go see a counselor. If you are struggling with your faith, go talk to a person who's strong where you are weak.
Which drives us directly into this second part of this first segment. So the second part of sharpening yourself is allowing others to sharpen you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't gotten that by this point, like that's what we're talking about, is allowing other people to sharpen you. So there are people who are more fit than you. There are people who are wealthier than you. There are people who are more, have a stronger marriage, a stronger relationship than you do. And it's really smart. They say you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So if you're spending time around all people that are either the same as you or worse than you in those areas, then you are naturally going to get dull in those areas. Yeah. If you're smart and you want what's best for yourself, you are going to seek out individuals who are sharp as heck in some of those areas, because naturally, by being around them, allowing them to be your mentors, however you want to say it, they are going to begin to sharpen you. So seek them out. If you struggle with your fitness, go hire a personal trainer. Go get with one of your battle buddies and be like, yo, dude, you're ripped and shredded and I'm not. Let me come to the gym with you. Let me, follow you on your workout plan, whatever it may be. And just by, interacting with them, they're going to say, hey, we're okay. Thanks for coming with me to the gym. We're working out now. What are you eating? What's your diet look like? Type of thing. And they're just going to make you sharper in those areas. So seek those people out. Seek mentors out. Be humble, admit you don't have it all figured out, and that's okay, and that's normal, and that we are all in that same boat. Yeah. And seek out people who are strong where you are weak. And that doesn't have to all be in person. Honestly, for me, a lot of that comes through listening to these individuals' podcasts. I mean, right now, you can find some extremely...
Yeah, the internet is full of all sorts of shit that you can grow from.
Yeah, and most people are using it to watch cat videos. And honestly, cat videos are not even that popular right now, but mindless,
it's being misused stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be used to really benefit you. I mean, there are some of the highest caliber people on the earth right now that are pumping out free podcasts, So for me, it comes in the form a lot of times of podcasts, audiobooks, really just absorbing what these people are. And it's basically like if I got a 45-minute drive, I mean, if someone, and oftentimes the audiobooks that I listen to are narrated by the person themselves. And it's like, dude, I just hung out with that guy for 45 minutes and he told me he basically squeezed all of the most meaningful, things from his life into a book, and he just read it to me for 45 minutes. I mean, there's a lot of development that can come from that.
Yeah, so what we're kind of saying here is that the people that you spend your time around have an influence on you, right? That goes into all sorts of studies that have been done many, many times over and over again, that you soak in the influence around you.
Right.
So what we're going to talk about for a second is the 33% rule, which is how you divide your time and how you spend it and who you spend it with, right? So the rule states that 33% of your time should be spent with your mentors. So people that can sharpen you, right? Something that can teach you, or someone that can teach you something and get you on the right path. The other 33% of the time is going to be spent with your peers and people that you kind of align with, that you can kind of decompress with, and you guys can vibe off of each other, right? And the last 33%, which is going to bring us into our second segment, which is what we feel is the most important part of this company, really, and the part that people aren't understanding and people aren't really driving home. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the missing link in all of this stuff, is the last 33% of your time should be spent with people that you can mentor. So segment 2 is going to be sharpening others.
Right. Yep. So as we're looking at the logo, basically the top half of the logo is you sharpening you. Growth. Personal growth. The bottom half of the logo is you sharpening the rest of the world.
Right.
Contribution. Making the world a better place. Having an impact. Actually having fucking influence. Being an influencer for something that matters. One of the things that I'm most frustrated with recently is, dude, this idea of I want to be an influencer, and in so many people's minds, when they say that, what they mean is I want to post content.
I want attention.
Well, not just attention. Like, I want to post content, yes, that's meaningful to my audience, that relates to a certain demographic of people, so that they will follow me and they will gain value from what I'm posting, and I can build up this following with the eventual goal for a lot of these influencers, the eventual goal of, I'm going to post all this content and show my authentic self and, give a real genuine look into my life so that I can build trust with this audience. I mean, if you look up how to be an influencer and how to build a following right now, it's build trust with your audience so that eventually when you recommend products from your favorite brands or whatever, or companies that sponsor you, the audience will trust your recommendation enough to go buy that product.
Right.
And in the back of their minds, it's, I want to build this following so that when I recommend a product, they'll go buy a bunch of it. I get my cut of that. And it basically, I can stop working full time and start working as an influencer full time, where I basically recommend products for my audience to go buy. So you're like, your whole goal in life is to, build this big following so that you can then sell a bunch of people on a bunch of stuff to make enough money to have that be your job. And like, is that really what you want to influence people to do? You just want to be an influencer to influence people to buy so that, that can be your career? Like, I don't know. That just seems so shallow and missing the mark to me.
Yeah, it's very disingenuous.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like be as honest and authentic as you possibly can, so that eventually at the end of the line you can manipulate people, and that in and of itself is like super manipulative. So instead of doing that, when you guys say, I want to influence people, I want to impact people, do you genuinely mean that? Do you genuinely want to make the world a better place?
Yeah, do you want to change the world? That's what it comes down to.
For the better.
Do you want to leave an impact on do you want to leave a fucking legacy behind, or do you just want to post a bunch of shit that
and basically
really
like
just
not have to work and like
exactly.
This
just
dream life
fucking
of,
follow your life around with a phone all day so that you can
I
record
work from home and
exactly.
Yeah. So that's basically, I mean, got off topic a little bit there on a little bit of a rant, but I think it's relevant to the idea of what we're really trying to, when you say, I want to have an impact, I want to make a difference, I want to make I want to leave my mark on the world, I want to leave a dent in the world, I mean, just basically, I want to do the same thing too, but there's nothing just start doing it, start giving back, start sharpening others. And so I really feel like that is what is like the missing, component right now.
It's very self-driven right now. Everything is super, super self-driven right now.
And like self-obsessed.
Yeah,
everybody
stare in the mirror, take selfies, post them on Instagram, show everyone that you're hot and that you've been working on your physique.
And a lot of it's really shallow, and a lot of it's really focused on the aesthetic, which, I mean, you cannot fault people for being focused on that.
No, it's good to be healthy, but that doesn't just mean your physical health, man.
Yeah.
Like, it goes so much fucking deeper than that.
Yeah, so which is kind of like on the previous topic of sharpening yourself, but really turning away from this self-obsessed culture of focusing only on people's aesthetic, because we all know the people in our lives who are super buff, super ripped, they've got white teeth, the whole 9 yards, they look beautiful, but they are not sharp in the other areas in their life that matter. Either they are, super ripped and shredded and they spend all their time in the gym and they're broke and, have a freaking 350 credit score and they're, their life is a mess, or their relationship is a mess and they treat their girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse like crap, or they're just like, bankrupt in all these different areas. So it really is about, becoming, the term well-rounded kind of has a negative connotation, but we could say becoming as sharp in the areas that matter as possible, which really is being well-rounded. But again, that's kind of on the topic of becoming the sharpest version of yourself. But so sharpening others, man, we're getting off topic here.
No, we're not.
Okay.
It all plays into each other, right? Like, you can't sharpen others if you haven't sharpened yourself first.
Yes.
What are you going to teach people?
Right.
So it all plays into each other. Like, yeah, it might be all over the place, but it's pretty simple to fucking follow. Like, make yourself better, and then after you're better, make others better. Pass down the same shit that was passed to you.
Exactly.
It's pretty simplistic.
Yeah. So we really feel like that's the component of our brand that a lot of other companies, like everybody's talking about personal development, but not everybody is talking about sharpening others, making the world truly a better place. There are like some leaders in the arena that people, and it's gonna start becoming talked about a lot more frequently and become focused on a lot more frequently, and that's awesome. That is the direction that we're heading, and that's just super refreshing. There are people who are already talking about like, yeah, I don't really care about what you do for you or how great of a person or how high of a performer you are if you're not doing things for other people, if you're not giving back, if you're not. So there's all sorts of these people who are becoming famous, or they already are famous, and they're giving back, and it's just really refreshing to see that is, you know, elevating them to a whole nother level. Like people are really resonating with that and appreciating that. I mean, you see anybody that, and this has basically been the case for a very long time. I mean, if you look at the household names that we all recognize, the people who have truly been influential, who have truly left their mark on the world, because we know their names. Their names have withstood the test of time. Their names are written in history books.
What's the common denominator between all of them?
And the common trait with all of them is, yes, they became the sharpest version of themselves. They were high performers. They were really great at what they do. They were experts. They went the extra mile. They were really, really sharp people in and of themselves. But when they reach that point, there's almost like this area in their life, or this time in their life that you could point to where like they realize that this is not all there is to my life. I'm not going to feel happy. I'm not going to feel fulfilled until I contribute to other people. Yeah. And so you look at Elon Musk, you look at Oprah Winfrey, you look at Tony Robbins, you look at Bill Gates, you look at Steve Harvey, you look at all of these awesome people that I'm saying their names right now, and you guys listening, you all can picture their faces. You know exactly who they are. Out of 7 billion people on the planet, you know exactly who they are because of how much they have contributed to the world. So much to the point where, I mean, you look at a guy like Elon Musk, we were just talking about this the other day, who sold his first company, PayPal, which many of you guys don't even know. Elon Musk was the one that came up with PayPal, and sold it, I think, we didn't even look up the number, but I think it was $200 million or somewhere around that mark. Enough money to where he could have taken that and parked his pretty little ass on a sand beach
and done nothing,
sip margaritas and done whatever he wanted for the rest of his life, and he would have been completely fine. He also probably would have been pretty miserable. And instead of doing that, he had such a conviction that he recognized, he was like, these are the areas that I see we need to improve, like humanity, Earth, the globe needs to improve, being able to pay each other more conveniently, electric vehicles to like speed up, you know, the process of renewable energy. And I mean, transportation is a huge contributor to fossil fuels and, you know, having a negative impact on the environment. So electrical vehicles, and then traveling to Mars. He basically was like, eventually, you know, we are going to run out of room. We're going to run out of resources. We're going to burn up planet Earth, and we're going to need somewhere to go. And like, this is one person, and he's like, I got to put humanity on my back and devote my life. And I mean,
yeah, the more you read into him, like, let's not get too into Elon Musk here, but the more you read into him, like, it's consistent, never ending. That's like the only thing he's doing now. Like, he really doesn't care about his own goals anymore. His own goals are how to make humanity better. Right. Like AI, he's doing Neuralink to try to help with the progression of AI. You know, making roads under LA to reduce traffic flow. Like
just everything, like all these things of like trying to, hey, where are the issues? How can I make the world a better place? How can I sharpen the world, basically? And that is the reason why Tesla has been so successful, because he's got millions and millions of super loyal fans, because they see that he is pure. They see that he wants to do good. They see that he wants to contribute and give back, and they love him for it. Even to the point where he you know, like it's almost like the most ridiculous thing that you could do as a company, but he made all of the patents for Tesla, all of their technology completely open source, and was like, hey,
this is how we did it.
Dodge, this is how we did it. Go out and make it better. Let's get every single vehicle on the road to be an EV.
Who does that?
All of our secrets. Here's the secret recipe for Coca-Cola, because I believe Coke would never do that, because it's an unhealthy product that makes, you know, people unhealthier. And so, but anyway, so people like that. You know, people like Bill Gates, who, you know, at one time was the wealthiest man on earth. And, you know, you could almost just see from the outside, he had this realization that, like, is this all there is? There's more to life than money. There's more to life than success, than financial gain. And he started, you know, his own foundation where he goes and tries to cure disease and tries to find the cure for HIV and tries to stop malaria in certain parts of Africa, and devotes huge amounts of his financial resources to making the world a better place. Rick Warren, I was just telling Daniel about Rick Warren. The book, The Purpose-Driven Life, which I highly recommend for any of you guys who are listening who feel like, do I have a purpose? Like, why am I on earth? What was I born for? This will really help you kind of discover that. And there is a reason that that book has become, I think, and someone can fact check me on this, but he came and spoke at my school when I was in college, and I think he said that the only nonfiction book that had outsold The Purpose-Driven Life was the Bible. Like, it was the second most printed and sold. I think it was like 34 or 35 million copies at that time, probably more than that right now. Anyway, you can imagine 34 million copies of a book times, you know, $30 for the book. This dude is freaking loaded. Yeah. And he showed up at my school and he was wearing jeans, a black t-shirt, Converse sneakers, like totally down-to-earth, normal dude. And he told all of us that he was a believer in tithing. So he would give 10% of his income to, you know, making the world a better place. And him and his wife, when he started being really successful, they made a goal of every year increasing that amount. So they began by living on 90% of their income and giving 10% of their income away. And then the next year they did 11% of their income was given away. They lived on 89, and they just kept increasing that to the point now where, this was 4 years ago when he came and talked to us, he was living on 10% of his income and giving away 90% of his income, which is just awesome. It just is a testament to the type of dude that he was. And that just, in my mind, that makes you more attractive. That makes you more, ultimately, it makes you more successful, and it's going to make you happier. It's going to make you more fulfilled, versus the people, which we don't know their names, but like when you hear about, you know, this 1% of the elite, you know, the Illuminati or whatever, the 1% of
who do you
America's
think those guys
population
are? The guys that aren't giving back
99% of the wealth. Exactly. Yeah. Those are, we don't know their names. We don't know anything about them. They're these secret
hiding
families
on Wall Street.
That hide wherever in their mansions. They've got all this cash stored offshores, all these places. And those are the dudes that are like, super miserable, sitting on this pot of gold, hoarding everything. They're probably extremely unhappy. And, you know, I mean, when you start hearing about these guys, when it hits the news that they had these private little sex islands where they're flying teenagers are out there.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's where that stuff comes from. When you just hoard 100%. And you become completely obsessed with yourself, and then like you just find out all this weird stuff about them and how, I mean, what a crappy life. And then goes to prison and takes his own life, dude. Well, gets...
the security footage went missing. All right. Okay.
I guess I didn't really even think about that. Gets taken out by either himself or somebody.
Gets smacked before he tells everyone that the Clintons were involved, but let's not get into that.
That's neither here nor there. Edit that out. No, but I mean... So guys, basically, I mean, that brings us full circle. The whole idea behind Iron Apparel is that this logo is, you know, two equal parts. It's not complete if you only have one part of it. It's incomplete. You will not be happy. You will not be satisfied. You will not be fulfilled if you only spend all of your time, which it is important, on personal development.
Right.
On becoming physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally sharp. Okay? That's great, but it's only half of it. The second half of it that is equally important is contribution. Giving back. Each and every single one of you has gifts, talents, skills, abilities. You are unique. I hate to say it, but you are a snowflake. There is no one else out there on planet Earth that is like you, that is the exact same as you. You have your own fingerprints, as they say. Yeah. You are truly unique. And Danny has something to bring to the world that literally, out of 7 billion people on this planet, no other person is the same as him, and no other person can bring to this planet what he can bring.
And so does everyone else.
The same is true for me, and the same is true for each and every single one of you guys listening to this. So stop robbing. Do not rob the world. Do not rob me. All of us deserve for that you to show up to the world. Okay? So don't rob the world of who you were born to be, who you were destined to be. As I'm saying these things, there are, in the back of everyone's mind, in your heart, in your gut right now, you are thinking about what you're holding out on. You are thinking about that gift, that talent, that skill, that ability, that little thing in the back of your mind, that little inkling, that gets drowned out by when your brain starts being rational, says, nah, quit dreaming. What are you doing? Like, stop thinking about that. You need to go get a regular job. You need to, just fall in line, walk on the sidewalk, blah, blah, blah.
Shut up and color.
Shut up and color. Exactly. But all of you, have that inkling. You have that in the back of your mind, no matter how big. For some of us, it's like, it's just throbbing. It's right there at the front. It's that fire that's burning in your belly, and you're like so close to bringing it out, but you're still afraid and you don't know exactly how to do it. Well, get over that fear and just start doing it. Just start, because it will become easier. Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. I mean, the people who are going to judge you, the people who are going to throw stones, the people who are going to cast the most, negativity your way are the people who are most judgmental themselves, but they're afraid of they're being judgmental because they're afraid of being judged. It's like this really strange, whatever you would call that, juxtaposition or whatever. But so just start. And then for those of you who it's like this inkling where you almost don't even allow yourself to acknowledge it, start by acknowledging it. Start by exploring it. Start by reflecting on it and spending more time in that thought process, in that frame of mind, in that self-reflection of what is it that I want to do? I mean, do you want to go plug away at a 40 hours a week for the rest of your life and contribute to somebody else's company and then, spend 80 years on Earth? And
I say fuck that, and that's why I'm right here right now. Because hell no. Dude, 4 years in the military was enough for me to realize it's not that I just want to work for myself, but I don't want to work for someone else's image that I'm not a part of, that I don't share the same ideology in. Like, I don't share the same ideology and mission statement and vision that the United States Air Force shares, right?
Yeah.
Like, their ultimate goal is not my ultimate goal. So why the fuck am I going to work for them?
Right.
I want to make my goal happen, dude.
Right.
Like, I want to put myself into the world and push that shit out there.
Yeah. Which not everybody feels that way. And some people that are in the Air Force, their core values and what you want to do,
and if that
aligns
how you are,
with that.
perfect,
there
dude.
are people who, yes,
do that.
Does not mean to sharpen the world that you have to go, start your own business, or you have to go be an Olympic athlete, or you have to be the next Michael Jordan, or I mean, there are so many people who can influence the world, who can sharpen the world by being a phenomenal school teacher. And you have one student this year who's on your heart, and you're, make their life better. Pour yourself into them and see what happens. Being a firefighter, being a policeman, being a... We were just talking about this like an hour ago, man. Like, if you're... goals fall in line with something that is easily obtainable, right? Like, stable job, good money, so I can come home and take care of my family. Yeah, perfect. Being a great father, especially if you're the type of person who didn't have a positive male role model when you were growing up.
On that.
Yeah. Right. There are so many different ways, big or small, that you can make a difference in other people's lives and sharpen the world.
And I don't want that to be misconstrued. I don't want people thinking I'm saying that, that's what it is for me right now. But it can be anything, like literally anything. Being a better father, being a better husband, being
the best cowboy that you can be, being the best, I mean, it's just about looking at, I mean, it goes back to the two sides of the iron sharpening iron. How can I be the best possible airman? How can I be the best possible cowboy? How can I be the best possible school teacher, nurse, EMS, police, firefighter? Whatever your job is, how can I be the best version of this or version of myself? And then B, looking for how can I actually, instead of just taking my paycheck and living my own life the way that I want to, how can I give back? How can I contribute? How can I make a difference? And for each and every person listening, for myself and my organization, for you and your life, for my wife is a school psychologist. She has when I talk about like, man, I want to have this big, successful Iron Apparel brand and all these things, and I want to influence, and I want to do this eventually someday. I want to be a public speaker. I got all these big, grandiose dreams, and my wife like does not relate to that. She's like, I don't have that same dream. No. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I have no desire to do any of that. I want to become, and she will tell you, she's like, I could work at this school for the next 30 years of my life because I want to become the very best school psychologist, basically, that I can be. And I have kids each and every year in these programs that I can make their lives better. I can contribute to their lives. Some of these kids are in such dire situations that just having a positive adult role model and someone to just love on them, dude, I'm like about to freaking cry. Someone that can just love on them when they show up to school. Some of these kids cry when summer break comes around because their lives are so miserable at home that I could never imagine liking going to school. I was like, I did not enjoy going to school. I wanted to miss school all the time. But there are people who literally just having one adult in their life that actually like loves on them when they show up to this place, that they view the halls of that school as like, this is the place that I want to be. And for each and every one of you, there is that situation, whether you're working in a grocery store, bagging people's groceries.
Fake that feeling.
No, man. You can't.
You know in your heart when you do the right thing and when you do what you're destined to do and you get that fucking like those tingles in your body and that fucking feel good in the pit of your stomach.
That's where you're supposed to be, and that's what you're supposed to be doing.
You can't fake that shit.
Don't resist it and seek it out, and don't rob the world of it. So I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it up. I mean, the message is become the sharpest version of yourself and then sharpen others. So, I mean, that's what Iron Apparel is about. That's what Iron Sharpening Iron is about. We figured that was the best place for us to start this podcast, was to explain that to you guys. What are we at time-wise?
44 minutes.
That's fine.
That's totally fine.
That's a great place to wrap it up. So that's the vision. That's the mission. That's what we feel like. So we want to build a community around that. We want to build a company around that. We want to build a culture around that. We want to start a movement. No matter how big or how small, our goal is to make the most meaningful brand in the world. That doesn't mean that we want to be, or we have to be the biggest, or, the whatever. But basically, out of all the logos that I wear, out of all the logos that you wear, our goal, me and Danny, our goal in building this company is that this logo would mean it carries the most weight. And that's true for me. When I wear our logo, it's almost like an accountability system. It's like when I'm having a crappy day, when I'm having an off day, when I'm in a bad mood, or I'm just, not being my best, I almost like, it's like, I can't wear that shirt today. Like, I got to wear something else. Because when I wear our logo, it means a lot to me, and it's almost an accountability piece. It's like, I can't flip this guy off in traffic. I can't be an a-hole today. I can't be lazy and skip all my workouts and sit on the couch all day wearing this, because it goes against all of the values, all of the ethos. And we all have good days and bad days, but when I put this logo on, it means something to me. And that's at the heart of exactly what we're trying to do. I never want it to lose that. I never want that to go away. I never want to feel like I've got to scrape the Sharpening Iron logo off the front of my Bible because, we've sold out, or it's lost its way, or it's lost its meaning. So that's what it means to us. Guys, if you want to support us, basically there's, a couple of ways that you could support us to try to continue this. The first way would be just on our social media. We're on Instagram at Iron Apparel USA. There's at Iron Apparel, and it's a company that was started, I think, in Australia a few years back, and I don't think they're doing anything more. They haven't posted in about 5 years. So actually, if you want to hit up Instagram and see if we can get that handle, eventually we want to get that handle. But we are at Iron Apparel USA. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Iron Apparel. Our website is www.ironapparel.com. We're on YouTube under Iron Apparel. We are going to take the footage from these podcasts and upload it to YouTube. So we're just trying to get the message out there. You guys know how the algorithms are. When you interact with our posts, when you like, comment, interact with it, then it gets seen
spread out
by more people.
Yeah.
So that's a way that we can help get the message out there. The second way is, and this is kind of the most important to me, Daniel and I are no experts by any means in any area in our life. On the podcast, we're probably going to have a few episodes where there's a couple things that I want to talk about. There's a couple things that he wants to talk about. That's going to be a few episodes. The other episodes, we are going to seek out people that are either in our community or are on social media across the world, across the United States, that are extremely sharp in a certain aspect of their lives, or they're extremely good at sharpening others. And we're going to bring them on the show and interview them, and we're going to basically squeeze all the information and all the value out of them on the podcast through asking them the right questions and share that with you guys as an audience. So it's not just going to be us talking this whole time. It's going to be us finding phenomenal people that can offer you guys a lot of value and bringing them to you, and kind of growing the audience around that and building the community around that. So all of that to say, if in this episode we said anything that you thought about somebody else and you were like, dang, my buddy, could benefit from this, or I've got a friend that, would really resonate with this message, please bring us one friend. You don't have to go plaster this all over your social media. We're not going to ask you to like 3 pictures and comment on this and comment on that.
It's almost more impactful to directly send one person something rather than to just slap it up on your wall or whatever.
Exactly. Copy the link. If you think of somebody that would benefit from this, copy the link and message it to them, DM it to them, share it directly with them or whatever. We just ask that you would, if you think about a person that would relate to this or benefit from it, share it with one person. And then lastly, if you want to contribute to our business, to our brand, ultimately our goal is to be able to keep this as a family business. We've got 4 siblings. My personal dream is to be able to get it to be successful enough to where all of our family could work for it, and it would be able to provide financially for as many, obviously some of our siblings might not even, be interested in doing that. But every time I watch Duck Dynasty, I'm just like, dude, how awesome would it be to, all be able to work at the same company? And so if you want to contribute to us as a business, basically what we do as a company is our core product is a t-shirt. We got kind of tired of seeing t-shirts that basically, when I look at a t-shirt, I see about 3 cubic feet on the front and on the back. That's a blank canvas for spreading a positive, impactful, meaningful message. And I love art. I love design. Ever since I was in 4th or 5th grade, I have been drawing and designing things and throwing them up on t-shirts. And some of them have been successful, some of them have not been successful, but almost every school, sports organization, military organization that I've been a part of, almost the first thing that I love doing is like designing a t-shirt.
A whole nother podcast in and of itself.
Yeah, just talking about all of the all the failures really on the way to this. But that's what I love doing. So I make all of our designs. I love putting basically our criteria for the designs is they've got to be either motivational, inspirational, encouraging, challenging. They're going to benefit somebody when they see them. So we don't put anything negative or anything like that. It's all spreading this message of inspiration out with the world. One of the things that separates us from our competitors' products is the ink that we use. We spent a lot of time, I spent a lot of time personally experimenting with different inks. We really wanted the branding. The message behind the brand is Iron Sharpens Iron. And so we wanted the branding with the hang tags that we use have a metallic foil on them. The packaging that we use, there's metallic themes in everything. The stickers that we use are printed on brushed aluminum alloy, so they're, metallic. The decals that we use are a silver metallic. The dang freaking pens that we use to write the thank you notes for each order are metallic ink. So we're really just trying to drive home like this concept of Iron Sharpens Iron and make the branding consistent. So we wanted to have a metallic ink that we used on our garments, and it took a lot of experimenting with that, but we were able to figure out a way to print real metal onto our t-shirts. So there's really extremely small levels, really like microscopic particles of real metal into our ink, and if you do too much, it turns out super sparkly and glittery and does not. It's like, yeah, that's cool, that's metal on the shirt, but it looks like
you bedazzled your fucking shirt.
Bedazzled. So we had to come up with the right blend of, but basically we call it our molten metal ink, and it really does look like you melted ink metal down and printed it on the shirt. It's water-based ink, so it's good. It's not negative for the environment. Basically, every other t-shirt brand that we see prints with plastisol ink, which at its base it's made out of plastic. So when they print it on the shirt, it prints on top of the fabric. It's super heavy. It sticks to your chest when you sweat, and it cracks after you wash it.
Yeah, it does really crack. That happens all the time, and it is heavy as shit. When you wear a Nike shirt, you can feel it. The design is draping down your shirt.
Yeah. So the latest and greatest is water-based inks, which at their base, they're made out of water. Ours includes metallic, particles and everything. But it's so much. The reason the big companies aren't doing it right now is because and the little companies is because it's really hard to work with. For big runs of t-shirts, when you're printing thousands of t-shirts at a time, the plastic ink never dries up in the screens, so you can print off 1,000 shirts on the same screen and leave the ink on there for weeks at a time, and it will never dry up or gunk up. So it's super forgiving, it's super easy to work with, so that's why the big companies use it, and it's terrible for the environment. And the little companies use it because they're printing out of their garage, or they're printing out of their basement, or this is how I started. We were printing out of my dorm room and then out of my basement, and you need something that's flexible and that's going to be forgiving because, you got to be able to get a quality print, and it's got to be reliable, but it's subpar in our opinion. So we print entirely water-based. The benefit of it is that it prints directly into the fabric of the shirt. So instead of it's just got a super light hand feel. After you wash it once, you run your hand over it, and it's just awesome. You barely feel it. And because of that, it's just super durable. When you wash it, it doesn't crack. It doesn't, do the things that plastisol ink do. Anyway, I've spent way too long talking about this, but I am super passionate about it, and I've taken a ton of time.
Yeah, you've put a lot of time and work into our products, and the point we're trying to drive home is that they're our products are very high quality.
Yes,
and a lot of time and effort has gone into them.
So the molten metal ink is really what I'm, really excited about. Right. It looks super cool on the garments. And then the other products that we make. So not everybody's a big fan of really big graphic design, graphic t-shirts, screen printed t-shirts or whatever. So that's kind of like our flagship product, is getting this positive message out there, so that instead of being a billboard for some company's giant logo printed on your shirt, most of my other t-shirts are some huge logo either printed on the front or the back of some company. So instead of being a billboard for that, you are being a billboard for a positive, impactful message, which is in line with everything our brand's about. But
y'all not realize everybody, that, right? When you wear a giant Hurley shirt that just says Hurley on it, or Adidas or Nike or whatever, you're just a walking fucking advertisement for them.
Yeah,
you guys get that, right?
Basically,
just want to put that
companies
out there.
you are paying $30 for a t-shirt to go be a walking advertisement for these companies all day. It is the single greatest marketing decision that they've ever made.
Whoever designed that shit is smart as hell.
And I like, not to really get off on this, but I read Phil Knight, who is the guy that created Nike. He created Nike, started by selling shoes that were made in Japan. It was called Blue Ribbon Shoes initially, because when you win a track race, you get a blue ribbon. Built the company on shoes. Eventually, they came up with the swoosh logo. They called it Nike, all these things. And basically, how they got into apparel was they were like, hey, we need to get this logo out there. We need to get this logo to be seen. We need a bunch of people walking around wearing this giant logo out there. So they went to the screen printer and they printed up a bunch of the swoosh logo on the shirt. And that, I mean, almost every company that sells apparel, that's like the same. They've got their product, they built a brand around it, and now they're printing their logo on all these garments. Yep. And we're all buying it, and nobody's ever really like stopped and thought about like, why am I paying $20 to go be a billboard?
Go wear a logo.
The reason is because people identify with that brand and like the values and the ethos and the culture behind that brand, and I totally understand that, but I feel like
we want to do it in a better way.
We can, yeah, exactly. We can improve upon that. We put our logo still on the shirt because we want the exact same thing. We want people to relate and identify with the core values of our brand.
But it's not just going to be our logo.
But there can be there's an opportunity there you're wearing around this positive message all day that people can see and encounter. So that's our core product. All the rest of our core products, where I was going with this, or all the rest of our products are, we wanted them to be really simple and minimalistic. So we try to just have a sleek, clear, concise design, and we just pretty much put our logo on it. So we've got hats, we've got leggings, we've got sports bras, we've got really awesome Warrior flasks from the company Warrior Flask. Basically, for every bottle they sell, they give one away to a veteran or deployed fire first responders, that type of thing. So we got we got our logo printed on them. They're like the insulated Hydro Flask type water bottles. So basically, and then we've got an assortment of lifting accessories. All of our products we've designed to be like athleisure wear. Basically, it's functional to go out on the town, to go out to eat, whatever, but it's also going to hold up in the gym. Yeah. Because physical fitness is a really important part of becoming your best self. And so we want all of our products to really support that. So we've got lifting belts, wrist straps, lifting wraps, all sorts of things like that, hats, you name it. We only work with the highest quality materials. We only make the best possible products that we can make. Some of them are more expensive than other companies or whatever, but it's basically, our idea is, let's make the highest quality product that we can possibly make, the product that I would want to buy, and then, however we have to price it to make it make sense is where we're going to go. We don't decide first, like, hey, we got to meet this price point, so let's design a crappy product to fit into that category. Like, that's not what we're about. Okay, so that pretty much sums it up. So if you want to grab some of our swag and support us, go to ironapparel.com and you can pick up some of our swag. This podcast,
it's episode number 1.
Exactly.
We're not going to be pitching this shit at you guys every single episode. We just want the people that don't know and haven't followed us, or have followed us and haven't gotten to see everything yet. We want to get it out there, and we want to let it be known the type of products we have, the quality of our products, so that they can understand everything that goes into this. Yeah, that's the whole reason we're doing this fucking podcast, is because we spent 4 years of time into all of this, right? We want to share our experience. We want to share what we've built.
Right. But so the purpose of the podcast, basically the Iron Apparel company and the podcast, the Iron Show, are going to be like completely separate.
So we're not going to be pitching our products every single episode.
It's not like an extension of the brand or like an advertisement for the brand. It's literally like, how can we walk the talk, basically? Like, we're saying all these things as a brand. How can we now bring that message to you, find people, to bring that value to you as an audience? So it's going to be, they're two separate entities.
However, if you do buy from Iron Apparel, it will support us in being able to continue to do this.
Exactly. So yeah,
I think we pretty much covers
everything for episode 1. Sorry guys, this was super long episode. We're doing a vlog as well. We're calling that the Iron Journey, which is pretty much like a behind the scenes. It's just going to be a vlog. Anytime we do stuff related to building the brand, it's going to kind of be capturing our journey. Basically because we wish that we could go back in time and watch, behind the scenes footage of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak building the first Apple computers in their garage. So we're going to share our journey with you. But it was the same thing with the first episode of that. We're like, oh my gosh, we're at 30 minutes because we want to explain in the first episode, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're about. This is the direction that we're going. So they will not all be this long. We assure you, we value your time. Really, we're not here to waste your time. We're just here to
time to
bring
sit
value
through this whole
to
thing.
you.
Thank you. Like,
and
seriously.
thank you to those of you who have been here since day one. It has been so far. I mean, it's been a long journey. It's been inconsistent at times. It's been like a lot of false starts.
New stuff coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, and so for those of you, you know who you are, who have been there and have been supportive and have heard the message and believed in it since day one. Like, we cannot thank you enough. You guys are the reason that we're going to be able to be successful. You guys are the reason that, you know, we've been able to keep plugging away at it. You've given us the hope to keep going. This summer, when I had a really down period, right as soon as I got out of the Army, I got super depressed. And there were so many people that reached out through our social media and were like, hey, I noticed you stopped posting, and are you doing okay? Checking in on me. And it was like so awesome to me that even just through this inconsistency, I had been able to, like, we've started, there's starting to be a community and
which
a family built around this, which is just so inspiring.
So it's like the end goal is we want to have like just this giant team and community that
like
builds
this
off
Iron
of each other,
army and family. And so for those of you, you know who you are. You guys are awesome. We love you. And like, we're just super excited to be in the trenches, and we're gonna go after this. We're not gonna let you down. We're gonna make it happen. So
working pretty hard, and I'm excited
to see what's to come. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, that pretty much sums it up. So until next time, stay sharp and sharpen others.